Chapter 22. What happened to Candide and Martin in France? Part 2. After dinner, the Marquise led Candide to her boudoir and invited him to sit on a sofa. "So," she said, "am I understand that you are still desperately in love with Mademoiselle Cunegonde and Thunder-ten-Tronckh?" "Yes, madam," Candide replied. "You speak like a young Westphalian," the Marquise said, with a tender smile. "A Frenchman would have said, 'It is true that I did once love Mademoiselle Cunegonde, but the moment I saw you, madam, I fear I love her no longer.'" "Alas, madam," said Candide, "I will reply as you wish." "Your passion for her began when you picked up her handkerchief," the Marquise said. "I want you to pick up my garter." "With all my heart," Candide replied, and picked it up. "But I want you to put it back where it belongs," the lady said, and Candide did so. "You see," she continued, "you are a foreigner. I sometimes make my Parisian lovers languish for 2 whole weeks. But I am offering myself to you on our first night, because one has to bestow the honors of the country on a young man from Westphalia." The beautiful woman, having noticed 2 enormous diamonds on the young foreigner's hands, praised them with such exuberance that they passed from Candide's fingers to those of the Marquise. As Candide left with the Abbe from Perigord, he felt some remorse at having been unfaithful to Mademoiselle Cunegonde. The Abbe was very sympathetic. He spoke to him a good deal about Cunegonde, redoubled his courtesy and attentions, and took a tender interest in everything that Candide said, did, and wanted to do. "So, monsieur," the Abbe said, "you have a rendezvous in Venice?" "Yes," Candide replied. "I must find Mademoiselle Cunegonde." "Am I right in assuming that Mademoiselle Cunegonde has a fine wit and writes charming letters?" the Abbe asked. "I have never received any," Candide replied. "For you see, as I was chased from the castle because of my love for her, I could not write to her. And then I heard that she was dead, and then found her again, lost her again, and then sent a messenger to her 2,500 leagues from here. I am awaiting a reply." The Abbe was listening attentively, though his thoughts seemed elsewhere. He soon took leave of the 2 foreigners with tender embraces. The next morning, on awakening, Candide received a letter, composed in the following terms: "Dear Monsieur, dearest love, it is a week now that I have been ill in this country, in this city. I have heard that you are here. I would fly to your arms were I able to move. In Bordeaux, I heard that you were here. I left faithful Cacambo and the old woman there, and they are to follow me soon. The governor of Buenos Aires took everything, but I still have your heart. Come to me. Your presence will either give me back life or cause me to die of happiness. This charming, unhoped-for letter filled Candide with inexpressible joy, and the illness of his beloved Cunegonde overwhelmed him with grief. Torn between these two feelings, he took his gold and diamonds and had Martin lead him to the inn in which Mademoiselle Cunegonde was staying. He entered her room trembling with emotion, his heart pounding, his voice faltering. He drew back the bed curtains and called for light to be brought in. No, you mustn't, the maid said. Light will kill her. And she quickly drew the bed curtains shut. My beloved Cunegonde, Candide said, weeping, how are you feeling? If you cannot see me, at least speak to me. She can't speak to you, the maid said. From her bed, the lady extended a plump hand, which Candide drenched with many tears and which he filled with diamonds, leaving a bag of gold on the armchair. In the middle of his raptures, an officer of law arrived with his men, followed by the Abbé from Périgord. Are those the suspicious foreigners? The officer asked. He had them seized and ordered his men to drag them off to prison. In El Dorado, Candide said, travellers are never treated like this. Martin, having regained his composure, surmised that the lady claiming to be Cunegonde was a rogue, the Abbé from Périgord, a scoundrel who had jumped at the opportunity of taking advantage of Candide's innocence, and the officer of the law, another rogue, who could be easily swayed. Rather than submit himself to the procedures of justice, Candide, enlightened by Martin's advice and still very impatient to see the real Cunegonde, offered the officer of the law 3 small diamonds, each worth about 3,000 gold coins. Ah, monsieur, the officer said, had you committed every imaginable crime, you would still be the most honest man in the world. 3 diamonds, and each worth 3,000 gold coins. Monsieur, I would rather die than have you thrown into a dungeon. I have a brother in Dieppe, in Normandy. I will have you taken there. If you have a diamond for him too, I'm sure he will take as good care of you as I would. He immediately removed Candide's irons, announced that he had been wrongly arrested, sent his men away, and took Candide and Martin to Dieppe, where he left them in his brother's care. A small Dutch vessel lay at anchor. The Norman, who with the aid of 3 more diamonds became the most obliging of men, helped Candide and his men board the vessel, which was about to set sail for Portsmouth in England. It did not lie on the way to Venice, but Candide believed he had found deliverance from hell, and intended to continue his journey to Venice at the first opportunity.